The last step is to combine all the compositions into one composition, and that is called nesting. We are going to nest our compositions here into a final composition where we're going to actually use these composition as their own layers. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a new composition. I like using this guy right here to make a new composition, but there's several ways. You can do Control N, you can go to Composition New on the pull down menu. Okay, so it's the right size, we're ready to go. I'm going to call it something like Chip Gubera 7. Alright, and then I'm going to make sure the duration's long enough, right? So I'm going to go for 40 seconds at this point. Then I will trim the timeline to whatever. But it's better to start with more than less. That way you don't have to keep on coming back and adjusting the settings. So I'm going to hit OK. I now have this 40-second long timeline, and I can start pulling in our Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, right? So I'm going to pull in Twinkle Twinkle Little Star Twinkle, which is the first one, where I have, here we go, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, right? Great, so I got that going on, and then the next one is How I Wonder What You Are. Now when I pull this in, it's going to come in on top, right? So I need to stagger this here, and then maybe I'm going to have this come in as it explodes. Let's see, where does it explode? Right there. So we can watch it for pacing. Little star, how I wonder what you are. Okay, so what's next is like. No, that's not right. It's way up high, right? Gosh, I don't know this song. So up above, it's this one. Up above, the world so high. So we got R. And then what do we have? We have a fade in here. So perhaps maybe we should fade out that R. I wonder what you are. I think right here would probably be a good time to fade this out. We can do kind of a long fade. You are up above, the world so high. Let's go ahead and watch this for pacing. Great. Now we need that like a diamond down here. And maybe we'll do like a fade in of like a diamond in the sky, since this fades out. Or perhaps maybe we could do a crossfade. Let's go ahead and get in here nice and close so we can look at what's going on. There we go. And then we have the fade out here. It's 100%. Like a diamond in the sky. And then of course we have Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, so I'm just going to reuse this again. And maybe I can make that Twinkle Twinkle Little Star come in a little faster. Now, notice here, I have a fade out, which is going to black. So it's making the Twinkle Twinkle go to black. Well, I don't want that. I'd rather fade this out here. I can go back to this like a diamond, right? And I have a fade out here that maybe I don't want to have. I can take away the fade out, right? And what happens is that it's updated now here where there is no fade out. Right? So when you mess with these other compositions, right, and you make changes, it will reflect in the nesting, which is great. So now I will do the fade out of like a diamond. I'll do a real slow fade out. And then once again, we'll pull in the how I wonder. And then we'll do a big long fade out here, just for fun, all the way to the end. So we can watch the whole thing for pacing. And as you're watching this for pacing, it may go slower or faster than what you're wanting. You can always go in and make the changes needed. In fact, I hope that you do, because that is going to be something that you're being graded on, is the pacing. So you can go in and continue to pace this to make sure that it's moving at a good speed, but not too fast. You got to be able to read everything, right? So once again, I need to trim this down. So I'm going to go to the last frame, which is somewhere in here. There we go. And I am going to move the work area to here, make sure that I have it exactly, and I do. Right click up here, trim comp to work area. So now I have a comp that's exactly the right size. All right, and now we're just going to take a second to talk about the design of this thing as well. Right, I use the same font on everything. Consistency is what makes a professional, right? So this helps. It's the same thing with still images, with graphic design. Motion graphic design have the same rules of what makes good design, right? I use the same color blue with the star. I use kind of similar looking effects to try and make the whole thing fit together, right? So yeah, so that's something that I'm expecting you guys to do as well, is to practice good design. So we're ready to go. We're finished with this thing. Last thing we have to do is render out. So we go to composition, add to render queue. You guys remember this? We do the lossless, and we go from format to QuickTime, because we are doing QuickTime movies with H.264 compression. We need to change the format from animation or whatever it might be set as to H.264. As long as quality is high, that is great. We do not have audio for this, so this is all that we need. And then of course we need to figure out where we want to save it, right? And now I'm saving it to the desktop where I have the tutorials, which are in here, right? Here is intro, project 7. It's called Chip Guevara 7, which it needs to be. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And finally render, and this is going to render out to a QuickTime movie in H.264 compression. Now keep in mind that when we turn things in, what you need to turn in will be here we go, turn in your AE project, right? Your project file called first and last 7, your QuickTime, first, last 7, and then any media that you used, right? I used a picture of the fireplace and this land here for the backgrounds, right? This came from the public domain folders that I handed out with this assignment. So make sure that you turn this in. So your project file folder that you turn into the server should look something like this.